Hello and welcome to this week's podcast of For the Love of Oats. We have me, who is Jack Richardson, and we also have the regular co-host, which is Vicky Masita, who is looking
Hello.
considerably leaner. I don't know if you guys are watching this or listening to it on Spotify, but if you're watching it, you'll notice she's considerably leaner than the last time we did the podcast, and that is because you have been cutting, haven't you?
I have been cutting, so I now have the diet face thing going on, right?
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
don't really think I do though, to be perfectly honest. I don't think I've got a diet face really.
I
I've
would
got a
say
jawline.
I would say it's come in a little bit, definitely.
Yeah.
I noticed it when we were training. I was like,
Mm.
yeah, you're looking actually a little bit dieted. You're pretty lean in the off season anyway, so it's not like you get a chubby face. Whereas me, my face just is very round usually. In the off season, I just have a fat as fuck face essentially.
I've got
Um,
a face.
yeah, but it's one of them. I try
It
not
is.
to look at my face too much, you know. Um, but yeah, so you're dieting. You've got a shoot, haven't you, this Saturday?
It is. It is this Saturday, so I am officially. Well, by the time we're recording this one, I'm officially 3 days out from the shoot, which is going to be very, very exciting. Um, and then yeah, so I've been cutting for about this will be 8 weeks, which will mark the end of my cut. Thank goodness.
Mhm.
But to be honest, it's been a really, really simple and easy cut. It hasn't been hard at all. You know, cardio has never really been above 45 minutes, and that was only to for the last kind of like 2 weeks of bringing myself in. So that wasn't bad. My steps went up to 14,000. My calories have still been realistically very high. Over the last couple of weeks, no, not last couple of weeks, last week, I just actually amended my macronutrient split, but my calories stayed the same. And my body composition has just dramatically changed. That's literally just down to the fact about swapping my carbohydrates for protein. And that was just to help get the remainder of the body fat off, which has really helped because my legs have started to come in and be very much more apparent in terms of quad splits and different muscle separations, which is really good. But my calories have stayed the same. They've always been quite high. I go quite high in the off season anyway in terms of my calories, but when it comes down to when it comes down to prep, I still manage to diet on quite high calories, purely because of the fact that I'm not really well. I don't know really. I think I've got a very, very flexible metabolism as opposed to being an adaptive one. So I can still diet on quite high caloric intake, although the lowest I
Yeah.
have been down to the prep previously. I've been down to like 80 grams of carbs. That's been my lowest that I have done. And that was back in 2017.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was 2017. That was the lowest that it ever went down to, and like 1,400 calories. So even that still for like a 5 foot nothing individual that weighs about 50 kilos, still
Yeah.
quite high for a prepper.
Yeah. That's not bad at all. I think what helps as well is you stay in shape pretty much in the off season. You don't really get fluffy.
Yeah,
You don't get too fluffy. So that in itself, you are able to build up your food nice and high, and have a lean composition to begin with, which just gives you plenty to play with.
mm,
A lot of people don't sort of think about the approach before the cut, but it definitely has a massive input to the outcome of the cut itself, whether it be a prep or just a general cut. And
yeah,
the approach beforehand makes a massive difference. The composition that you start with, the ammo, so to speak, that you have in the tanks with expenditure and also intake definitely can play a role. Because if you're starting, I've seen this plenty of times. I've had clients come up to me and they're on dirt low calories. The composition isn't the best, and their expenditure is like crazy high, and they're like, right, I want to get off a ton of body fat. And I'm like, whoa, not so fast, because you're not going to like what you're going to have to do. You will suffer for that, and
mm,
it's not really healthy. So, but a lot of people don't want to listen to. You've got to be in a maintenance for a few. We want to try to work your calories up for a few weeks before we can get a very, get yourself in a very responsive position for you to to cut. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to do that groundwork beforehand, but it does make a massive, massive difference to the end goal, really. And that's one of the. I'm also on a cut as well, and that's one of the incentives behind why I'm cutting at the moment. I've pushed up for a year straight. Noticed I was getting a little bit fluffy, and the appetite wasn't great. Food was in a nice place, but I thought if I was to carry on pushing by the time I start prep, I'm just not going to have a great time, because I will just have to spend a long time dieting and, looking at it, what's going to be more productive for the end result. Having a little bit of a cut to clean up after a nice solid year of gaining is going to be the more productive option, really, at the end of the day.
Sure,
But yeah, my cut's going okay. It's actually very easy. It's very easy, to be fair. I did a mini cut last year, and in comparison for this year, I don't know whether it's because we've been hit with shitloads of heat, but I've got no food focus at all, or appetite, which is crazy. I did expect to be like, because I was quite hungry on my last mini cut. I was quite hungry, because you've got to be quite aggressive with it. But this time it just seems to be easy. So that's one of them. Maybe I'm just hard as fuck.
Why do you think it is easier this year? When you did the mini cut last year, was it in the same time of year?
Yeah. Pretty much exactly the same time of year.
I'm trying to think about how hot it was last year, because sometimes you can actually get into this position where you're not very hungry, but it's actually based on the temperature around you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm trying to be sort of aware of that. And that, I think that's affecting my energy a little bit as well, because today I've started to drag a little bit, but I've just been constantly sweating, as people on YouTube will be able to see right now. I am shiny. I'm shiny at the moment. Yeah, so I can't stop sweating. It's my face that sweats.
Horrendous training with you as well, isn't it? Because you're literally just like dripping onto your phone as you're trying to.
I'm dripping. It's dripping in my eyes. It's dripping down my nose, and when I'm breathing, I'm spraying the sweat, and I'm like, wow, I'm so sexy right now. I'm just having, it's just one of them. My face is just my face. It's my face that sweats profusely. I don't sweat evenly. And like, my face is just always wet. My face has been wet for the past 4 days, and I haven't been able to do anything about it. So I might just have my sweat glands removed from the facial area.
Just the facial area. Everything else is okay, but just the facial area.
I'm happy with everywhere else being sweaty, because I can't see when I get that sweaty. It's like I'm in my set and I'm like, just dying, really. I can't see at all. Sweat's going in the eye. It's stinging me.
That's so funny. So that's a little bit of an update about ourselves. Now, today we were, Jack was doing his cardio. I was doing my steps, because I do my cardio fasted in the morning. And I find it easier to do it on the bike as well. I don't like the cross trainer. It messes with my hips a little bit. And we were discussing certain things that I have now forgotten about. Welcome to Prep Brain. Oh, shit. Brilliant. What was it we were talking about? We were like, we should talk about that on the podcast today.
You put this on me. You just brought this up, and you've gone, right, remember, Jack. I can't remember.
Remember right now.
What we were talking about. We were talking about something. Was it the approach post show? Was it? Or
yes, growth versus specialization.
Yes. So yeah, absolutely. So
because obviously I'm going to come out of the cut, you're going to come out of the cut, and we were just basically going to have a little bit of a discussion on what your approach is going to be, what my approach is going to be, how we're going to have a look at things, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, so essentially, after a cut, and after a big cut especially, your it's a great time to grow. Essentially, you're going to have a great response to the food that you put in. You're going to be super responsive, and you're going to have a great time growing. Now, it's important to manage this correctly because you can easily fuck it up. You know, some people post dieting after the diet will just dilly dally too long with it, with the calories, trying to stay lean. Fuck that, fuck it off as far away as possible, you know. Don't get fat, you know, but also don't waste time. Be productive with your increments and calories. And in regards to training again, I think it's a great time, and my personal opinion is it's a great time to bring everywhere up, because in a cut, especially if you do a deep cut again, you're susceptible to lose a bit of muscle.
Yeah.
And if you come out of that cut focusing, you want to focus on particular weak areas and do specializing training, you could potentially actually create weak areas, because you've lost some muscle and then you're trying to bring up only specific areas. I think the focus should essentially be on bringing everything up to bring back that lost muscle that's potentially, gone, and also, and then some, basically, to regain that lost muscle, and to obviously gain and bring up everywhere. And a little bit deeper in the off season, then you could probably, if you want to, go more specific.
So how you were talking about in terms of like your caloric increases and things like that? What's your opinion then on a recovery diet as opposed to a reverse diet then? Because obviously we're not just basically saying that there's one approach and that what you're saying the correct approach or whatever like that. These are opinions, guys. So there are lots of people who use different approaches and they find that these specific approaches work for them, etc., etc. So this is the reason why I'm just asking your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So after a prep, I think, in my opinion, I think a recovery diet wins pretty much every time. After a prep, your hormones are going to be shot, especially if you're doing a natural prep as well.
Sorry to interrupt. I was going to actually bring that up and say, in terms of natural versus assisted, would they be different as well?
Yes, they would be different. They would be different. Great minds. But yeah, especially in natural prep, your hormones are going to be absolutely shot, and you want to return those hormones back to physiological ranges, so you could be one healthy, which is a priority, but also in a position to gain new muscle tissue. And the quickest way to do that is to be adding some body fat, some much needed body fat. You cannot stay stage lean. It is dangerous and counterproductive if you stay stage lean after a diet. And there's people that will opt for the reverse diet. It may work for some people, especially people who haven't really been hormonally too affected by a prep diet. But for the majority of people, I think a recovery diet would definitely do the job, because it gets you into that physiological range in regards to your hormones a lot quicker, and gets you to a position where you can be more responsive a lot quicker, and you save time. Essentially, if your cut hasn't been as deep, say for example, mine's only a mini cut, and again, I'm not really suffering at all. I'm not at a position where my food's really low, my hormones have been affected too much. I think you can get away with the reverse diet. I like somewhere in between. It depends how you reverse diet. Because you can use reverse diet isn't really such a blanket statement, because you can still do the right way or the wrong way. If you reverse diet, I mean, you could go to a point where you're upping your carbs like 10 grams a week. Obviously, how much you increment it will be down to the individual. But for myself, I'm not going to throw a massive quantity of food straight away coming out of this. but I'm also not going to waste time. So I'm probably going to be making just nice, like for myself, probably 100 to 150 grams of carbohydrates. Bear in mind, I am assisted as well. I am on gear to the diet. Um, and I will be basing this obviously on checking shots and stuff like that to see if I do need to keep making increments and what type of or how big the increments should be. But yeah, if your cut isn't been that deep, you could get away more so with a reverse diet. Again, if you're not wasting time, and that's going to be how much you increment is going to be very much down to the individual.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the hormone degradation then. God, that is a very, very hard
degradation.
Word. Degradation. Or basically like derailing your hormones a little bit in your preps. So obviously you were a natural athlete previously, and you your natural prep from that perspective. You went quite high in terms of cardio, quite low in terms of food in order to get peeled for your first show. What kind of hormonal side effects did you experience?
So my first season,
people do not bring up, but I've spoken to a number of people recently because I ask the questions for my guys and girls and just basically see what they are experiencing. So it'd be good to obviously talk about it.
Yeah, okay. So my first season and my second season, I had a completely different approach. My first season, I definitely over dieted. I definitely overdid it, which is what a lot of people do when they're quite new to it. It was more so the fact that I just kept pushing more so than I needed to. It still was a pretty successful season for myself, but it did affect the look a little bit. But because of how much I pushed, for example, just to give some context of what I was doing like 2 hours of cardio a day. I was on 1,600 calories and no carbs. My steps were like 25 to 30,000 a day. I was training 6 days a week. There were some points I was doing like 45-minute hit sessions. So it was either an additional hour of cardio or 45-minute hit session, which is just mental. So I got to a point where my hormones were just absolutely shot. Now, a couple of things I had as an effect post-show because of this was I could not stop binging. I binged to the point where I put on 20 pounds in 4 days after my first show. Yeah, it's mental. And I could not stop eating. And it was crazy because I found it a lot easier to not binge during prep. I didn't binge at all. But after I had no self-control. It was absolutely crazy. So that had a little bit of an effect there. And also I had zero libido as well. So post-show, I just got skinny fat. I blew up with water. I was blowing up with water very easy. Whenever I had an off-meal plan, even a couple of months after, I would blow up with water. I had no libido, and this lasted for, I would say, in its entirety, probably almost a couple of years.
Really, that long?
Yeah, I got to a point where I thought I was asexual. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was asexual. I thought I was like, wow, I'm just not interested in anything, you know. I'm not interested in having a partner or anything like that. I'll just go to the gym and whatnot. So because of how I approached the diet, and because I wasn't assisted at the time, so I could not return to physiological range very easy, and because of how much I fucked my hormones in the diet, it took me a long time to get back to normal. And it did potentially greatly affect my off season because of that. And just like earlier on, I've mentioned your approach beforehand in your off season can dictate the outcome of your prep or the end of your cut. Same's going for like the approach in the prep. It can affect how you end up in the off season. So just to give some context there, in my second season, a lot fucking easier to get into shape, because I it wasn't a matter of just keep pushing down. It was pushing when necessary. I was on like 2,300 or 2,200 calories at my lowest, and I was doing 5 lots of 30 minutes cardio, which got tapered down towards the end, and I was doing 15,000 steps, and towards the end, instead of carrying on pushing, it got tapered up once I was in shape. Once I was in shape, I stopped pushing, and that's a very important thing, okay? Because once I got the body fat off, I didn't continue to push, and that's how you can fuck up your hormones. And I was able to keep my libido during the prep. It went down towards the end, but it wasn't to the point where I looked at my girlfriend like a brick wall. And
she looked at you like that, but you didn't look at her like that.
Oh yeah, I was just like this.
What were you like?
That's prep. That's prep.
That is prep.
Anyway, after, I found it a lot more easier to control binging. I didn't binge really. It was only when I was a cheeky boy and I smoked a little bit of weed. That's when I found it to the level of my first season, but it wasn't actually at that level even then. But that's obviously because I was just smoking something that was giving me munchies, and that's it. But like sober, I was just like absolutely fine. Didn't make, it was a lot easier to manage. I can't say for the fact of me how long it took me to return to physiological ranges. I can't compare those two, because that's when I decided to become assisted shortly after my last competitive season as a natural. So I can't really say how long it would have taken me, but I know it would have been a lot short of time, and it would have potentially been a lot more of a productive off season as a natural.
So private and personal question, which we're not going to make very private anymore because you're going to answer it because I'm going to make you. When you had your libido decreased, did your winky stop working?
I mean, it's a tricky one. It's tricky because I wasn't thinking about it working, but I suppose it wasn't very active, whereas, you can find yourself at times as a bloke where it's just active and it's ready to go. And you could just be in the middle of a supermarket and it's like you're just trying to get some shopping and it's just randomly going like, "This is Sparta!" ready to fucking go. There was none of that. And yeah, it just wasn't, in regards to libido and sex life and shit like that, that was just pretty much non-existent whatsoever.
It is an interesting one because, like I said, I've been speaking to a few of my guys and a few people who I know in the industry who have just recently competed. And this was a conversation that came up quite a lot in terms of the fact that they weren't getting erections at certain points in prep and that it was lasting for quite a long time. And these are assisted as well as natural people. So it is one of the questions that I do ask with my clients in terms of, are you still getting morning wood? Are you still having sexual arousals, and that kind of thing. And it's one of those things that you really do have to be approachable with your coach. And if you do miss your period, for example, as a woman, or you're not actually getting that erection or that arousal from your missus, it's not something to ignore. These are big kind of like red flags. So I've got a bikini girl at the moment, and she literally just said, "I'm about 9 days late on my period now." And it's like, okay, so we're getting lower into prep. 9 days, I'm not too concerned about, because again, you know, no cycles are 28 days. That's like a fucking magical unicorn being found in a frolicking forest. It doesn't exist. So when people say, oh, you know, I haven't had a period for like 41 days, that's kind of still within cycle norms. So don't get too concerned about it from that perspective. So if you're 9 days late, I'm not too worried. And realistically, you can miss one cycle without it being a detriment. It's if it starts to carry on and you start to miss the second and the third, that's when it's like, okay, fine. So just to give you some context, when I was dieted very, very poorly, which fucked up my hormones altogether, that was in 2014. I lost my cycle in November 2014. I knew that that was the last one because I was expecting it, and obviously it never arrived. And then I never had a period since. That was it. Even when I obviously pushed my body weight up quite high and introduced a lot of different fats and different nutritional strategies, they never returned. Hence the reason why now, 7 years later, I am on HRT. Yes, it took the GP 7 years to actually say, you're a good candidate for HRT. But good news is that I'd already had my children, and I certainly didn't want any more. Bonus. So yeah, so these are the kind of things that you should not you shouldn't ignore. Realistically, do talk to your coach about it, because it is really important. So, and that again, it gets us onto the subject of priming yourself up for a good off season. So that's obviously in a nutritional standpoint. What are we going to do in terms of like your training? Because originally we said that we were just going to obviously push through, but you've also found your training at this moment in time diminished a little bit, and you found yourself being a bit more fatigued. Even in your cardio, you said that you were dragging a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. So yeah, I'm getting to the end of a mini cut, and it's nowhere near as hard as a prep would be. I'm just noticing it dip, so I'm just being mindful of that, and to keep my performance in a nice spot, and to also set me up quite nicely for a nice uninterrupted progressive stint after the diet of training. I just thought I would have the volume approach in the training, so just reducing my volume to one set on every exercise, and also taking no 50-50 reps, no grinder reps or anything like that. That will allow me to just dissipate some fatigue, but still be productive in the gym, and I could potentially be progressive as well. What I noticed as well, just towards the end, I took my check-in photos today, and I noticed I was carrying a little bit of water retention. So what I've done, I thought by dissipating some fatigue and some water retention, stress-related water retention, it will allow me to see what composition I've gotten to more clearly by the end of it, by my last check-in shots of the diet next week. So I thought it would just be a nice time to just sort of manage fatigue with my training.
Really. I think that's a really good idea as well. And I think that, again, is a nice approach when you come out of a dieting phase. Don't just go in balls to the wall and try and smash up your training, because quite honestly, that's a really stupid fucking thing to do. You're not, you know, it's you are going to be susceptible to injury at this point. So you do really have to be careful when going back into an actual gym, because you just want to go in and like hit PRs and stuff like that, don't you? But it's like you don't go into, so you have to accept that.
Absolutely. Again, especially after you've done a prep, like I say, now wouldn't be too bad for myself. I would just be making myself more tired, and it just won't be very productive at all. But after prep, you are very susceptible to be injured if you go back into the gym and you have no limit with your volume and what you're doing. And it's very tempting because the food's back in, the pump's very nice, and you look lean and sexy, and it's very tempting to just go crazy in the gym. But you just gotta, your body's been under a lot of stress during the prep, so you've got to be able to manage that coming out of it and the stress. There's also an argument to manage your volume just in the end part of a prep or a really deep diet, because your recovery isn't going to be as efficient. Again, especially as a natural competitor, it might be worth reducing some volume, like towards where towards the end part of a prep, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely,
because
definitely.
your recovery is, you're not going to be recovering. And the irony of the situation is towards the end of a prep, people are like, they start feeling tired and the performance goes, and you think, fuck, I need to do more. You know, I need to be able to do more. And by doing more, they end up burning off a ton of muscle, they end up losing a ton of muscle, and you know, it just affects the look on stage. So by obviously pulling back a little bit, you're able to recover more efficiently, and your performance is better protected. And again, that's going to benefit the look of your physique, because you're able to retain more muscle, retain more fullness, and potentially not gain a bunch of water as well by overtraining.
So you noticed that you actually had some water retention. So you went and had a sunbed and basically got rid of it.
I did, man. Yeah. So today I thought, wow, I'm looking watery. I need to just burn myself. So I had a 3-hour sunbed and I came out dry as a bone, really.
You did, you did.
I
And
did.
yet still not tanned.
I'm still not tanned. I've gone red. I've got, do you know what? I am a little bit tanned, you know, if you look.
Really?
Just slightly tanned. I am not translucent anymore. That's
only tiny then. Yeah.
that's a little win for me, but I still think, you know, I still think I've got a journey to go through to actually get color on my skin.
You do. I totally agree.
Mm.
Totally agree. Oh well, it's one of those, isn't it?
It is one of those. I'm just not genetically blessed with the right pigment, really.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Mm.
But yes, fair enough. Okay, cool. So realistically, how would you like to carry on with this? Is there, in terms of like, is there another subject that you would like to cover in this realm, or are we just kind of carrying on for the winging it?
The winging
What's
it.
around your gears this week?
What's riled my gears?
What has ground your gears?
Everything riles my gears, Vic. You know, everything. Has anything riled your gears? You know.
What? Not really. Probably, if I'm honest with you, people actually complaining about the sun.
The sun.
Reason being is because I absolutely love the sun. I am a sun baby. You know, I really, really am. I love a sun baby. My daughter's just come down and she's like, I'm not. I'm really not. But I'm a sun baby. I absolutely love it. And people complain and moan so much about how hot it is. And it's like, man, do you know what? Just like chill the fuck out, because you're going to be moaning that it's raining next week. And appreciate what you've got whilst you've got it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the UK, I've tried to make an effort by just going out in the sun as much as possible, going out for a walk pretty much every day, and just enjoying the sun, really. But it does get to a point, especially in the evening, when again my face is just consistently wet, and I'm like, oh, this is really annoying now. I've got 2 kittens, right? So they really want to just jump out the window, and we can't let them jump out the window or else they will die a horrific death. So we have to keep a lot of the windows closed. So it's a little bit like a sweat box, and we're like, wow. So it gets a little bit irritable. It does, but a nice tip for that is just cold showers. Cold showers, keep yourself cool. You know, I try to have one before bed, and then I have a fan blasting on full blast in my face when I'm in bed. You know.
You know what? It's funny that you say a cold shower. I actually don't advise a cold shower. I advise a lukewarm shower, so just hotter than body temperature. Reason being is because if you have a cold shower, you make your internal core temperature colder. Because of that, it wants to heat up, so it will actually make you hotter on the inside, which translates into
it depends what you define as cold, really. You know, because if it's like, I'm not
ice
about like I'm not on about like ice. I'm on about like it's nice cold water on you, and something that doesn't make you go something that it's like, oh yes, you know?
Yeah, for sure. No, I get that. Just like a little bit of a refresher.
Yeah.
A refresh.
A little bit of
So,
refresher.
a little bit of a refresher. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. So, sorry, excuse me. Other than that, really, I think we've covered all of the bases that we wanted to cover in terms of this one. But I think we should give a shout out for people who actually want to listen to us drone on again.
Well done.
What is it that you guys want to listen to?
What do you guys want to listen to? Okay. Here's one. Here's a topic, you know.
We'll go for a topic.
The coaching industry. Do you think it should be regulated? Because I've had this conversation with a couple of people, right? And if so, how do you think it should be regulated? Because there's a lot of online coaches at the moment, you know, and anyone could be an online coach. Everyone, you know, anyone in the world could just put "I'm an online coach" in their Instagram, and there's no one. There's no sort of accountability to stop people really too much from giving dangerous advice. And I see a lot of renowned coaches who are giving dangerous advice, you know, and I get asked, you know, it's like, oh, what qualifications do you need to be a coach? I'm like, well, none, but I do have qualifications myself, but you don't actually need any.
No, you don't.
Do you think it should be regulated?
I do, but how you would actually regulate it is going to be really almost impossible.
Yeah.
Like almost impossible. And that's the problem that you're going to have realistically. One of the problems with the industry is just exactly like you said. People can give out advice, and the advice that they give you can be very dangerous. And realistically as well, it does come down to not just the responsibility of the coach that you go with, but I do think that it comes down to also a bit of, well, it does. It comes down to the responsibility of the client at the same time, because no matter how much I want something and how much that I'm willing to push, I'm not willing to put my health at risk for it. Does that make sense? So if I actually educate myself, which is what I have done over the last kind of like up to years, because I'm an old git now, if I educate myself on the industry and somebody gives me advice to say, do you know what, why don't you do this? If it sounds wrong to me, then I'm not going to do it. And I won't do it because I know that it's going to obviously hit me up the wrong way. Now, that's one thing that I would give to everybody in terms of their advice. Do your own research at the same time. If your coach, like say, for example, if you are an assisted athlete, and your coach says, right, I want you to take this, and this. And you go, okay, I'll go with that one. Do your research. Don't just kind of go, right, okay, this is what the coach has told me to do, so I'm just going to do it. Look into it.
So playing devil's advocate here, some people could argue that that's why they've got a coach, so they don't have to do their own research. And sometimes when a coach is telling a client, they can make it sound quite legit, and the client's like, right, okay, cool, that sounds legit, and you're completely unaware that it is sort of dangerous that they're about to get into, or what the actual effects are going to be. They're like, right, okay, could do this, could do that. I do definitely agree that people should have a knowledge when they are doing stuff, and just a general knowledge, even if you are a client, of training, nutrition, you know, what you definitely don't do, and what is just, you know, just a perspective of what is stupid. It's just it's very tricky, because you've also got to put an element of trust in a coach as well.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with that one at the same time. But it's like, if somebody said to me straight off the back, I'm just going to use it because we joke about it all the time. But if somebody said to me, right, Vic, I want you to take 50 milligram of tren, I'm going to say,
yes.
Yes. All the tren. But
Jack me, baby.
That's it. But tren is not a female drug. Now, I know that because I know about the drugs. But if somebody else didn't know that and they just willingly just took it because they put the faith in their coach, then they're going to end up with a whole heap of fucking problems. So this is what I'm saying. if you are, I mean, you know, training and nutrition aside, let's face it, you know, you have to be a fucking arsehole to prescribe somebody training and nutrition that's really going to fuck somebody up. But again, you know, there are certain things like going completely massively low in calories and really, really high in cardio and carrying all the way through that for peak week and all the rest of it. That's somewhat stupid. And if people don't understand things like down regulation, then of course there is going to be running into problems. But in terms of things like drugs, you should always obviously have a little bit of a research yourself. You know,
but where do you
that's
get the
my
research
personal
from?
perspective, and I do think that should be done. I mean, when I advise on PEDs for some of my guys, I will always say, this is what I would advise. Please go and research all of it so you are understanding what I am advising for you.
Yes.
You know, and that's the thing. It's all advisory. You do not have to do the things that your coach tells you to do if you are uncomfortable with it. It is supposed to be not a dictatorship.
Where would you get the research from? Where would you find out? Because I've seen this from different forums, different pages on Facebook and just on the internet, where someone would ask a legitimate gear question, or they're just trying to find out something about gear, and someone who doesn't know and they're just taking a guess, they just don't know what they're talking about, will answer them like they know completely about it. And sometimes, well, a lot of the time, it's complete bullshit and it's very dangerous. And these people, obviously, they're trying to learn how what would you recommend to gain reliable research?
So there are plenty of people that you can actually follow on Instagram who do give you very, very good advice. You can also go on to examine.com. They do quite a lot of information in regards to PEDs as well as supplementation. There are a few forums that I trust, and realistically, those are the ones that you're going to be going on. I can send you the links and we can put them on here actually, so people can go and have a look at them. Mm-hmm. Papers and stuff as well, like scientific papers, you've got to be really careful about the scientific papers that you do read, because the majority of them are like mega doses of things that you would never give to people. So, I mean, there was one recently that kind of came around, and it was for clenbuterol, which is known for a fat burning capacity. And they were actually testing it on people and it basically came out and transpired there were so many different side effects and blah, blah, blah. But the dosages that they were talking about were like astronomical, to the point that you would never, ever prescribe anybody those particular amounts anyway. But this is the whole point about studies. They always megadose them. So the forums are better, because even though it is anecdotal experience, that is what wins, because nobody is going to be doing scientific studies with high elite level bodybuilders or strongmen or powerlifters based on PEDs and saying, do you know what, right, let me give you this, because no one's going to do it. So the forums are a very, very good one. The people who are in the know about the industry, they're very good. So I can give you off a couple of names, obviously, like Scott Stevenson, he's amazing. Dave Crossland, again, an extremely knowledgeable individual. Who I would always recommend. Richard Foster, he's a very good, knowledgeable individual as well, on people for PEDs and things. But again, I don't want to give out too many names, because obviously, like, so many people will be listening to this and going, all right, I'll hit that person up. So that's a bit shit.
I think because it's very popular now, the JP website, because you've got loads of different assisted bodybuilders pointing what they're doing. It's not necessarily every assisted bodybuilder will be having the right approach, but it will give you perspective of, you know, where certain lines are. And what people also have to realize is there is going to be a lot of bodybuilders who are willing to push and willing to take health risks to get to the goal quite fast. So obviously, when they're looking at that, just consider that basically. But I think it would just give you perspective of what people use, and things like that. So the JP forums seems to be quite a popular place to go, where loads of people are logging, loads of the up and coming amateur bodybuilders on the verge of turning pro seem to be logging there. So I think that'll be a nice place to sort of gain an insight of what people are doing.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it would be good if we did have a regulation body for the industry, but we'll never get one.
No. It's very tricky because what's coming as, like I say, what's coming as a result of this is you're getting renowned coaches, and then I'm seeing their plans, and these renowned coaches who are getting a nice amount of business, you know, they're at full coach capacity and shit like that. And they're seen as someone to follow for the information, can be prescribing quite outrageous things.
Yeah, well,
for the clients.
yeah. What have you seen that's been like, what the fuck?
I've seen loads. There's not just a one example. There's been loads. I've seen. I know. You know, Sean. He openly shared that one of his physique clients, I believe, was put on 500 milligrams of Tren straight away.
Yes.
For his first comp.
Wow.
Yeah, and other shit as well. That's just one example out of many. So like, again, I'm not, it's all obviously the amounts and shit like that is down to the individual and their goals and shit like that. So but quite often it's just a lot of the shit doesn't make sense, and it could be down with food and shit like that, you know. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, how has this guy not been arrested? Basically, because like you say, like we spoke about, there are coaches out there that is taking away people's ability to have periods on a regular basis. There are coaches out there and they're full in regards to their coach capacity, and they make a habit out of stealing people's ability to have a period just for a result.
What? That's odd.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes people.
Yeah. And I've had, you know, I've had some of these females message me and go, oh, you know, I've lost my shit, you know, because of been with an individual. I'm like, fuck, you know, that's a shame. That is a great shame, you know, because they didn't want that to happen. They weren't aware that was going to happen. They weren't intending for this to happen, and quite often it didn't need to happen for what they actually wanted out of their diet or prep.
No, not at all.
You know,
it is an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, like you said, some people can actually see the genetic potential in a client, and they just kind of think, well, with PEDs or with doing this, which actually may be detrimental to their health, but it will be really beneficial for bodybuilding. That's the reason why they do it.
Yeah. So some coaches are more asked about being able to put transformations up than the individual's mental or physical health.
Yeah, I know. It's the mental health as well that kind of brings everything into perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can be so like fixated on the goal that you actually lose everything else within translation. So you can be fixated on achieving that placement and achieving that pro card, but actually you lose your health in the process, and you're just so fixated throughout that you lose what's going on around you, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And quite often coaches can blow smoke up the client's arse, like, if you do this, you will get this, which will result in this. And they're like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And then, you know, they're damaging themselves and stuff like that. And the end result, they might not even get it. And sometimes they don't get it. And, you know, they've probably taken shitloads of stuff, bankrupted themselves, and the head's fucked, the relationship's fucked off, and the health isn't in a great place.
Yeah.
As a result of that. But
yes, absolutely.
But the guy's got a nice transformation. I'll tell you.
Well, this is it, isn't it? The coach has got a transformation. So because he's got a transformation, all are happy.
Doesn't
matter about anything else. All are happy because he's got transformation pictures.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit crazy. I do think, I don't know. Again, it does need to be regulated. How it's regulated, no idea on how they can really do that properly, you
No, I
know?
don't think it'll ever get regulated, mate, to be perfectly honest with you. It's just like being a PT. That's not regulated.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a certificate, but what they teach you is just it doesn't set you up properly to be a PT.
No, not at all.
No. No, the irony of
So,
it is, as a PT, you get taught shitloads about anatomy, but not how to do a proper squat.
yeah, exactly that, which is very,
Uh,
very funny.
which is crazy. So I think the message is, if you're a coach, just learn as much as possible. You never know enough. Learn as much as possible. Always keep your client's health in mind. As a client,
Yep.
always keep your health in mind,
Yep.
and just be mindful of it. And if you are assisted, just have that risk to reward, and be very aware, literally, of the risk and literally of the reward and the ability to get that reward. And just be aware, be very self-aware, and just you know
Sort it out. Sort it out.
sort it out, lads.
Right, cool beans. Right,
Right.
well, I'm going to dismiss myself because it's 3 o'clock and I've got some shit to do with the kids. But as always, it has been a pleasure and never a chore.
Absolutely. Cool.
And we shall catch you on the next episode of, I was going to say, Don't Fear the Wait then, shameless plug, on For the Love of Oats. Even though we did
every episode, man. Okay, coolio. Rightio. I hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast. We will be back again. Let me know what you guys want to listen to. Let me know if you guys want to have questions in as well, where you guys can ask questions and we answer them on the podcast. Let me know what subjects you want us to speak on. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. So I'll catch you later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.